And we're on. This is the great classic rock debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul with no qualifications from my car.
All
And I'm
right.
Steve
And
from
we
my
talk,
basement.
that's the place to be. We talk anything and everything classic rock. We try to have fun. We try to keep it interesting. If you're watching right now, please like, comment, and subscribe. So for tonight, we're going to do something kind of interesting. We're going to apply the whole principle of how our perceptions change over a course of years. And I think every person alive saw a movie as a teenager that they thought was awesome and then saw it years later and said, what the hell was I thinking? So we're going to sort of take that thought process and apply that to music. So what I've asked you guys to do is separate into three separate categories. The first category is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pull up the email right here because I have it.
Hey, Ken, pull up the email.
Good idea, Paul. The first email is, the first category is a song that initially did not particularly resonate with me, and I didn't get the hype, but years later, I now consider it a classic, okay? The second category is the complete opposite. A song that I initially thought was amazing, but years later, I find it to be kind of pedestrian or maybe even worse. And then the final category is, I call it the shrugger, a song that everyone thinks of as a classic, but I never got the hype. I kind of shrugged it off, and years later, I still don't get the hype, and I'm still shrugging it off. So we're going to kind of go with those and see where it goes. So I'm going to start. Oh, and by the way, I told you guys, if you have more than one song from the same artist, please do a twofer, because I think that's even more fun. So I'm going to start with two different songs that I've talked about both of these before, and I know you guys will remember, but they're good examples of what we're doing, okay? So my artist is going to be Bob Seger. My two songs are going to be Night Moves and Old Time Rock and Roll, okay? Night Moves, and I got to set the stage by using chronology and decades and all that kind of thing, because it was mid-70s. I was 15. This song did not resonate with me. You know, if you think about it, it's a song about a guy who's middle-aged looking back on his youth. I was 15. And the thing that made it worse was so many of my friends, classmates, peers, suddenly they're like, oh man, Seger rocks. Seger. I've never even heard of this guy. They're talking about him like he's the second coming of Led Zeppelin. And the only song I know is Night Moves. And I'm listening going, it's kind of a soft rock song. I don't get this whole rocker dude, Seger. And the song just never really struck me. And I never hated it. I never changed the station. But at the same time, I just didn't get it until the Professor of Rock, a guy whose channel I recommend strongly. He did a whole video on it, and I sit there and listen, and I was so blown away by his presentation. And now this song exists in a completely different universe. And when I hear it, man, I practically get choked up. That's how much I love that song now. I didn't before, okay? So I've got a complete 180. I'm going to shift now over to Old Time Rock and Roll. Again, a song that kind of shrugged. I kind of shrugged when I first heard it. I get it that lyrically in 1978, when disco was a juggernaut, he's singing a song about, I'm sticking to what I love, rock and roll, old time rock and roll. So lyrically, I get it, but the song for me is repetitive and annoying, and still is to this day. So that was a shrugger for me then. It remains a shrugger for me now. Anyway, I'm opening it up to you guys. So go ahead, please feel free.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was just going to comment on the Bob Seger.
Please do.
So Night Moves, I completely 100% agree where you're coming from, Kenny. I felt the very same way about that until he re-released it in like the mid-90s.
Correct.
Around 95.
He re-released it with a greatest hits package.
Yep.
Hey, was that a version that didn't suck? Sorry.
No, but they did a music video, and it was I saw the music, and not that I care about the video,
Right.
but it was when during the re-release, I kind of listened to it, again, and was like, okay, I kind of get it now, and I like it. It's still not my favorite Bob Seger song, and I love Bob Seger,
Right.
but that's probably not even in the top 10 of my favorite Bob Seger songs. Same way with Old Time Rock and Roll. I remember the first time I heard that, I was in the Cub Scouts, and it was my den leader's car. We're on a scouting trip, and I thought it was awesome. And then I don't know if it's just because it's been overplayed, but yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't think I ever need to hear that song again. But
Yeah.
that's my commentary on Bob Seger. But I do have some.
Well, but I also told you guys that as a DJ, people love that song. So all because of Tom Cruise. So I've gotten so much mileage out of playing it at parties, and people love it. And I sit there and go, I can't believe how much they love this song, but they do. So I give it kudos for what it is worthy of. It's just not my personal favorite. People love it, and that's never going to change.
Paul, do you want me to go with a song or come back?
Well, let me just talk about Seger, then you can jump in with your song. So I can't stand that song, Old Time. That makes me want to kill myself. Night Moves grows on me. It was in the movie Heavy Metal, believe it or not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's cool. And the song that, since we're talking about Seger, I don't mean to jump you, Steve. It's the song that I couldn't stand was On the Road Again. What's that song called?
Turn the Page?
Turn the Page. I couldn't stand until Metallica covered it. And oh my God, that blows me away. And now when I hear Seger's version, I like it a lot more than I did.
You appreciate it now, yeah.
Yep. Same here.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was gonna say, in fact, I love the Metallica version. I was kind of indifferent on the Seger's version.
Right.
And then now I might like it a little bit more, but I certainly get it. Okay. So for me, probably the number one song that as a kid I thought was great. And I don't know, I guess this artist is considered classic rock at this time. He's in his 70s.
Okay.
And it's probably one of the most misinterpreted songs of all time. Born in
I know
the
what you're
USA.
gonna say. Yep.
It is this same most repetitive, like 5 notes sequence over and over. I don't think there's a chorus. I think they just repeat the chorus line over and over. And it's not a good song. And I get what he was trying to say with the song, but I'm like, it's so repetitive. I don't ever need to hear it. And it is kind of ironic that they play it at like every 4th of July festival. And it really is a sort of an anti.
It's an kind of anti-American sort of. Yeah.
Kenny, when you were going for Mr. West Palm Beach, wasn't that your posing song?
It was my posing song. It was. Which, I mean,
I remember that clearly.
Just for the record, it was based upon the energy of the song. I was not lyrically sending any messages or anything, No,
I know you weren't, because you like, because I was helping you, like, cut it right here, cut it right here.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. You listen to it and you're like, Born in the USA, and if you just listen to the chorus, you're like, yeah. Right. But then you realize what the song is about, and right or wrong. It is the most repetitive, god-awful song. And I feel that way about probably a lot of Bruce Springsteen stuff. Although I do like some of his work. But like Dancing in the Dark, that was another track I loved as a kid.
Okay, listen, Paul, I have to cut in right here because I had that one on my list. And since Steve went ahead and mentioned it, I won't stay on it. But in the 80s, his popularity had grown so much. And when he released that album, Born in the USA, I mean, like within 24 hours, it had sold millions of copies. And the lead single was Dancing in the Dark. And it was all over the place. And it was like catchy. And it was all over the radio. It was all over MTV. And so, man, I would turn up and sing along. I listen to it now and it's excruciating. Oh my God. It's awful. It really is. I mean, I think
the worst,
I think even he would admit that in his catalog, it's one of the worst. I don't know, maybe not, but
the worst part of that hold on 1 second, is that god awful video where they get this Courtney Cox. I'm like, this girl is really up front and she's going to act like she's surprised. And I said, that makes you want to vomit right there. Go ahead.
Well, the horrible video mixed well with the horrible song. So,
Well, as a kid, I was probably 7 years old when that song came out in the video. I
Yeah.
thought it was awesome, and I had a crush on Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. In
Pretty
that
girl, yeah.
moment, I'm telling you, it worked. But then you look back on it and you go, oh my God.
yeah, I'm sure if
Another-
I watch the video now, you're like, this is
Oh,
the lamest
cringe.
thing ever.
Yeah.
Well, you guys brought up, we all brought it up, but Metallica also, no, it wasn't Metallica. It was Rage Against the Machine covers The Ghost of Tom Joad. And let me tell you what, that song explodes when they do it.
Yeah,
You know that song,
yes.
Kenny?
I do. Yes.
Do you know that song?
I don't.
You know
I do
who
not
Tom
know
Joad
the.
is?
I don't know the Rage version of it. I know the Springsteen version.
Steve, what do you think?
Oh, these Rage version is a masterpiece. It's a 12 on
Yeah.
out of a scale 1 to 10.
Oh, okay.
I
All right,
completely
now I
agree.
have to hear it. Okay.
Now Bruce Springsteen at one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremonies a couple of years ago did play a cover with well, it's his own song, but he played with Tom Morello. And if you're interested, Tom Morello was a guitar player for Rage, and Tom Morello also sings on that track, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see why he was the guitar player, not the singer for Rage. But it's still interesting. You might like it. It's a very good
It's
like
a
cover
socialist
version,
song.
live version of the Ghost of Tom Joad.
Okay.
But it's do you know who Tom Joad is, Kenny?
Yeah, he was from Grapes of Wrath.
Good. You get an A+. You nailed it. That's what the song is about. Like Tom
Okay.
Joad is coming back from the dead. He's talking, and it's a socialist song, but I still like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's actually read Grapes of Wrath?
I have.
I haven't. I have not.
No. I think
You
I
haven't
read.
either?
I think I read a little bit of it, but the movie was 3
I'll tell
hours
you
long. I saw the
This
movie.
is how depressing it is. Here's the final scene of the movie. They're in a barn. This is during the Great Depression. This woman who's just given birth to a stillborn child, and the
I
guy's
remember.
best friend is starving to death, and he goes over and he puts her over there. He starts sucking on her breast.
Breastfeeds him. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because her baby's dead. That's
Right.
how depressing that book is.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All
Maybe
right,
I did
let's
read
move
it.
on.
I remember that. Okay. Am I up?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even go yet. Did I go yet?
No, you didn't
You
really.
have not gone yet.
All right, so my shrug song, and I'm even shruggier than I was Pour Some Sugar on Me. I never got it. I hate this song. I don't, that poor guy, Phil Collins, the guitar, I don't know how he could play a song so crappy. Now, sure, he is making $1 million from it, so I'm not going to bitch about it.
Well, this
But
is the opposite.
I hate
Paul.
that song.
You never, but this was supposed to be songs that you used to like that now.
No,
you-
there's
Kenny
three
said the-
categories. He's
Okay.
going for category 3, so that's fine.
okay.
I'm-
Because for me,
Instead of
that was
Atlas
going to be
Shrug, Paul Shrug.
that was
Yeah.
on my list of songs that I liked when it came out, and now I'm like, it's not terrible, but I shrug it off.
Shrug it off. And you know what, Steve? I didn't write that one down, but I would put it in that same category. By the way, Professor of Rock did a video on that song and how it was released as a single and it failed. And then what happened was it got picked up in the gentlemen's clubs and turned into this big hit, and it's so funny that it faltered the first time, but then picked up and turned into a monster. But yeah, I can, if I never heard it again, it's fine. I don't hate it, but it's a shrugger.
I will say the song off that album, Hysteria, I think it's off of Hysteria. That was the song at the time it was released I didn't like, but now I've done a complete 180, and I really love that song. And every time I hear it on the radio, I will not change the station.
There are some good tracks on that album. That's
yeah.
a very good
yeah.
album.
Yeah, real good. Real
All
good.
right. Go ahead,
Okay.
Kenny. Your
So
turn.
I'm really going with a sacred cow this time. Okay. So
Don't do it.
a song that I liked initially and liked it for decades up until just a few years ago. It is the ultimate song of peace, love, and kumbaya, is John Lennon's Imagine. Okay. This song is universally loved. It's been covered by 1 million artists. I come to find out it is an anthem of A, communism, B, atheism. That's what the song is about. He is celebrating communism and atheism. And I'm like, wow, I don't know how I missed that, but I don't ever want to hear it again. So for years, for decades, literally for decades, I loved this song. I would sing it. If it came on the radio, I would turn it up. It was great. I would recommend it. Now it's just heartbreaking, but
I laugh because at what age did you realize what it was about? Because it's funny because I heard it probably as a young adult for my teens, where maybe you were a little bit younger. I don't know. And so when you see things, it's like watching Looney Tunes now. Like for me, like I didn't get a lot of the humor when I was a kid, but watching it now, I'm like,
right.
Oh, they're actually there's some adult content in Looney Tunes.
Very much so.
Right. And, I tried to think of a Beatles song or a song from one of the members of the Beatles to put in one of these categories, and I just simply couldn't. And for me, lyrically, those lyrics aren't the strong suit for me. That doesn't really do it. But I can see where you feel that.
There are elements to the lyrics that say, and the world will live as one. And it sounds good. It makes your spirit rise, whatever. But the part about imagine there's no heaven. See, he was very outspoken about his belief that human conflict was always rooted in religious beliefs. People had clashing religious beliefs. And so that was his thing. And so he felt like if you religious dummies would get rid of all your stupid religious beliefs, we could all live in peace, love, and harmony. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on this, but for me, it ruined it. And you, Steve, in answer to your question, within the last 5 or 10 years, I think I read, it might have even been a video on YouTube where someone did a really detailed up close look at it. And I was like, wow, I guess somehow it's right there in your face.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah. So
well, it's like me, like I said, going back to Looney Tunes, I was like 23 years old. And I remember I was at Universal Studios and I thought of Pepe Le Pew. And I just thought, he's French and he stinks.
Yes, exactly.
I was like,
and he's pawing on a cat like he won't stop. Like,
yes. Right.
Do you love me? No, yes.
All right.
It was just kind of I don't know, the stereotype of that. And
right.
Like,
no, you're right. I agree.
I get it, man.
Steve, give us your next entry here.
Okay, so it's I Shot the Sheriff. And it's
Kenny loves that song.
Both the Bob Marley version and the Eric Clapton version. When I was younger, I was indifferent on the Eric Clapton version.
Okay.
And then I heard the Bob Marley version, and within the first few measures, I was totally turned off. And I was like, I hate this song now. And that was probably 25 years ago. And then I would say over this course of probably the last 10 years, both versions have actually grown on me, and I'm not sure which version I like best, but I now consider them true masterpieces, whereas before,
really,
okay, I think I didn't get the Clapton version, and then when I heard the Bob Marley version, it was very high pitched at the beginning if you go back and listen to it, but the guitar work from Clapton on his version, I mean, it'll blow you away, and so. Those songs are now, they went from being like 3 or 4 to being complete 10s for me. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, Clapton's version was released in 1974, I think it was. No one even knew who Bob Marley was yet at the time. I mean, obviously Clapton did.
No one here, yeah.
Yeah, Clapton he was only 2 or 3 years removed from Layla, which had really launched him into superstardom, one of the greatest rock classics ever. And so when word spread that Clapton's about to release a new album, that song literally went from no one's ever heard of it to #1 on the charts like in 24 hours. And it was played to death. And everyone liked it because it was Clapton. When I eventually heard the Bob Marley version, like it made sense to me because I'm like, okay, if you're living in the countryside of Jamaica and there's this sheriff who doesn't like you for whatever reason, but the whole story of Sheriff John Brown aiming to shoot me down, hey, listen, I shot that guy, but give me some credit here. I didn't shoot the deputy.
Yeah.
So I thought these lyrics, they make no sense. I'm an American, maybe, but for the Jamaican version, it kind of makes sense. So I always found that one, I liked it better. And over time, I liked the Eric Clapton version less, although I agree with you. It's a guitar masterpiece and all that, but lyrically, it bothers me. So yeah.
I did see I don't know if anybody saw the Bob Marley movie that came out.
I did
I
not.
haven't. I
It got
watch
very mediocre reviews.
It's okay. I was a little disappointed. It's not bad. It was kind of slow. And they started like kind of in the middle of his career, kind of towards the peak of it.
Okay.
And then there were some flashbacks. So that was what was disappointing. But they never explained like that song. And so I always wonder, like, is this like kind of a Jamaican folk tale, or
Could be.
I don't know, like who Sheriff John Brown is. So if it's just
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. He always hated me.
Yeah. He's not in the movie.
Yeah. He and about
I'm
a billion
about to
others
say mine.
always hated me. So. All right, Paul.
Okay, a song that I liked a lot when it came out, and I couldn't get tired of hearing it, and then I didn't hear it for probably 20 years, and I've been resurrecting it. It's Crocodile Rock by Elton John. I worship this song.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, here I'll say this. I was about 10 or 11 when that was on the radio, and I liked it. I didn't even know why. It was just catchy. But as I got a little older and got to know a little more about Elton John, he's a Brit. He's growing up. Even as a teenager, he's absorbing all these different influences, and this guy just loves music. And so when he recorded that, it was very deliberately intended to be a throwback, what's the word I'm looking for? An homage to 50s rock and roll,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I thought he nailed it. He nailed it. So it's catchy.
It's got like two tempos in it. It's weird. It's got the 50s tempo, and then when he goes into the chorus, and you're like,
Right.
wow, like that song is more complicated than it appears.
No, it is.
Well, can I ask you, what do you think of "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" with Kiki D?
I love that song.
Do you? Because
I really do.
I do love that song. That's one of my.
No, I love the video too. His voice and his like, like he was gay, but he had a rock. Like when he sings "Pinball Wizard," he just crushes it. You're like,
yeah,
my
that's
God,
good.
this guy's talented. It's
Yeah.
it's just mind blowing.
Who would have ever imagined that anybody could do a remake of Pinball Wizard and make it sound good? He nails it. Oh my God. It went to number one. That went to number one on the charts. So Paul, since you mentioned, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Since you mentioned Elton John, I had chosen, I'm going to do a twofer here. And these are going to fall into the category of I initially didn't get the hype. Okay. And I have to emphasize, I was in my early, 11, 12, 13 at the time these songs were out. And we all know that you see things differently at that age than you're going to later. Okay. So two songs that were out right around that time were, number one, Tiny Dancer, and number two, Benny and the Jets. All right. As a kid, 12 or 13, whatever, I've already heard Crocodile Rock. I think it's great. And I'm hearing these going, what? Wait, what? Benny and the Jets. It's a weird song. It's hard
very
to,
weird.
I mean, it's really complex, but it's just weird. The first time you hear it, you go, what was he on drugs when he made this? It's just weird,
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And then Tiny Dancer, I'm like, what in the hell is a Tiny Dancer? I don't know. I don't get it. Blue Jean Baby. I don't get any of this. And then I get a little older, perhaps in my 20s. Well, Benny and the Jets, I changed my mind on probably within the next year or two. I go, okay, now I like this song. And then that snowballed, because now, to me, that is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I love that song.
I'm the same way. That grew on me.
It is a masterpiece. And that song, Tiny Dancer, was sort of resurrected with that movie, Almost Famous. And when I saw that movie, I remember thinking, how in the world did I never like this? I mean, this song's great. So those are my
good.
Those are my two songs that went from shruggers into absolute masterpiece songs that I will never get tired of.
Yeah, it's like Island Girl. When I first heard it, I said, okay, it's pretty good, but it is like I cannot turn it off. I hear it now. The guy's just, he has a great voice, but it's the catchy melody. It just, you can't, you just I want to talk to you both of you guys. Why is that song catchy melody versus, and forgive me both, and I promise I never just song again, Cherry Pie, We Hate It. But is it the melody is too simple, or is it just stupid? What you two? I want to hear what you guys think.
Well, I love Cherry Pie, and I dislike Tiny
you
Dancer, and I'm the exact opposite. I like Tiny Dancer, and then when that movie Almost Famous came out, I was like, okay, this is an average song. Now you guys have blown it up to be the greatest thing ever, and
All
like
right.
so now, and so I had the opposite impact on me. But
Okay.
But Cherry Pie.
it's a great song.
Here's what I'll say, Paul. As a rock song, it's I'm just going to use the word pedestrian. It has the elements to make it at least qualify to be a classic rock song. It's hard rock, and it's got this sort of pseudo raunchy lyrics or whatever, but it's repetitive, and I don't know. I simplistic maybe is the right word.
Well, like if you take the song "Happy Birthday" and there is something about the riff or the melody itself. I can't explain it. Like we have to have some guy who's a PhD in dissonance and consonance, but like I hate that song "Happy Birthday," but of course we all know it. But it's kind of like Cherry Pie. It annoys me to my bones, like inside of me.
Me too.
No, it's not like I think. No, this song.
Have you seen the music video?
Yeah, it was Bobby Brown or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably why I
Cherry
like
Pie.
it.
Okay, fair
Just
enough.
turn the song off and watch her.
No, but that's what's amazing is the different opinions from three people who really like
That's one of the reasons doing this show is so fun. I know I can talk about stuff for 30 minutes, but it's hearing back from you guys that makes it interesting. So okay, so my Elton John thing. So Steve, go ahead and go next.
Okay, this is going to be considered blasphemy.
All right.
But this is a song that I didn't get when I first heard it, and 40 some years later I still don't get it. It's Sympathy for the Devil.
Oh my God.
And I don't know. I think it's the
greatest song ever.
I know people love it. I've
Yeah.
seen them play it live, but I can't get into like it's. I think it's the chorus, the ooh ooh. It's like a train. I don't get it. It's just it kind of annoys me. And the Stones are great. That's probably my least. It's got to be my least favorite Stones song. I mean,
Okay.
Well,
I
did you see all that thing we have? They must have worked on that song for a year. They had like literally 100 different versions because they kept fighting it. You can see it all on YouTube. And and finally said, why don't you do like a reggae melody? And that's when the song that's when it took off because you can see him do it like 20 or 30 different ways on YouTube. It's really cool. Like they were real. That song was fighting them.
Well, maybe they should have worked on it for another year.
No, that's what plus set the music and the singing. The lyrics are just like a history of Satan.
Yeah, I like the I find the lyrics interesting. I'm always, I'm a Sabbath guy. I always find that stuff interesting, fascinating. I don't believe any of it, but it's just interesting. But yeah, it's the chorus that gets me. And I just don't get it.
Like when he says, "I shouted out who shot the Kennedys." After all, it was me, you, and me. Like, think about it. JFK and RFK were killed already, and of course, they're going to hear it. They're going to know that song. I bet you they know it really well. So it was like a song transcended just music. It was like it's like a timepiece in history or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I love the song, but you know what? Everybody has their own view and perspective, whatever. So that's cool. Let's move on. Paul, by the way, we got our warning, so we'll go a couple more minutes and we'll wrap it up. Paul, what do you got?
Trying to think of a song that
we're losing your audio there.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I've got nothing. You guys go.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing here as far as I'm going to commit blasphemy. Okay, so, oh my God, you guys are going to slaughter me for this. Okay, I was 13 when the song Money by Pink Floyd was released. Okay, I had never heard of Pink Floyd. I had no idea who they were. Song is released on the radio. to me, it's a snoozer. I'm like, okay, I don't get this at all. Cool sound effects with the, cash register. I don't get this at all. And again, people, my friends, my classmates, they're talking about Pink Floyd like they blow away the Rolling Stones and they blow away Led Zeppelin. They're the greatest thing ever. And I'm going, okay, I'm not getting this at all. So for me, it was a shrugger. I didn't hate it. I don't get it. And because it was on the album, Dark Side of the Moon?
I think so.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think it was the album after that, which was Wish You Were Here. Anyway, okay. So I'm including Wish You Were Here with Money as both being shruggers in. I hear them. I don't hate either one of them, but they don't resonate with me at all. And 50 years later, I feel the exact same way. They don't do anything for me. If I hear them, I don't change the station, but I don't sing along. I don't turn up. Now, I'm going to give the flip side of the coin. Just to be fair, I'm going to stick with Pink Floyd. The song Comfortably Numb, which when I heard it originally, I sort of put it right with those. But man, I've changed my mind. That song is great. I love that song now. And I didn't originally, but now I do think it's a classic and it deserves the praise that it gets. But Pink Floyd, I know that they're a complex band. I know that they're considered musical geniuses and all this. They're a progressive rock band. And it's not intended to be easy to access, I guess. But some of it I like, and then some it just doesn't work for me. So those two songs, Money and Wish You Were Here, I got nothing.
Well, one thing I'll say about Pink Floyd, you've left out the most important missing ingredient of Pink Floyd, and that's doing drugs while you're listening.
Okay.
And that's why in my high school, they were like, we would have come to blows over Pink Floyd versus Led Zeppelin. I would laugh at these guys' faces. You guys are absolute stupid stoner potheads. If you want to fight, okay, you're high, I'm sober. Let's fight.
But that's what you just said, though, illustrates what I didn't get. Like people talked about it like they're better than Led Zeppelin, and I would go, what? What?
Yeah.
So I didn't get it. Oh, and just for the record, Another Brick in the Wall. I like the song. It was overplayed and all that, and it probably is a very untypical Pink Floyd song. But I like it, so I don't want to sound like I'm being overly harsh on Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I love Pink Floyd. They're the band that, though, if I never heard them on ever again, I probably would be okay because they're so overplayed. At least the kind of their
Very
hits.
overplayed. Yeah.
I still love them, and I always leave them out when I think of like the greatest bands of all time. I always forget about Pink Floyd, but they're still up there, and I still would put them. It goes to the question of why are the greatest rock bands in history all British?
Right.
I don't know. I would say they're better than any American band, and that's there are other American bands that I prefer over Pink Floyd, but if I'm going to be unbiased and just put an objective opinion together, if there is such a thing, I still think they're better than any American band of all time. So,
wow, I wouldn't go that far. Everyone I know who worshiped Pink Floyd did drugs, pot or drank or other stuff. And I was like we had guys in our fraternity that liked Pink Floyd. I can't remember. It was a couple guys that wouldn't shut about them on the punch.
Oh, no, there were definitely. And I know I told you guys this story once. This was like 10 or 12 years ago. There used to be a guy locally who was a pirate radio guy. His name he called himself Dr.
Oh, that guy.
He passed away, but he played great music. And one night I'm in the car and I'm driving it, and the song is playing, and I didn't know what it was. It was instrumental, and I was listening to it, and it was giving me chills. I'm like, this song is amazing. Please tell me who the artist is. And it was a live version. And when it ends, he says that was Pink Floyd. I go, oh my God, who knew? It was instrumental, but it was a work of genius. The guitar work was fantastic.
Great. So, well, Wish You Were Here is a great song, in my opinion. But what makes it even greater is what the song is about, right?
It's about Syd Barrett.
Syd Barrett, right? How he did so many drugs, he just basically became a vegetable, and they couldn't even when they were recording the song, he was there, and he didn't recognize him. He was
Oh,
a
I didn't
founding
know that's
member
what
of
it
the
was
band.
about.
Well, I don't think he was with the
Yeah.
band. I'm not the biggest.
No. No, he wasn't with them. He came to the studio. He was incapable of playing music.
Okay, because I thought he was on like the first couple of records or first
Yeah.
record or
And
two,
then they
And then-
vegetated him into
and then left. And that song is about him. I didn't realize that they had kind of sort of reconnected with him. So,
no. Well,
Okay.
he came to the studio. They didn't reconnect because he was incapable. Like he was gone.
well, yeah. When I say reconnect,
He
like
had done so many drugs that
Yeah.
he had just literally. But
Okay.
they told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. All right.
hey,
are
I
we
thought he
done?
was just missing in action for like decades. So,
But if you listen to the first lines, do you think you could tell the difference between heaven and hell? It's like like kind of like the Matrix. Anyway, we're not getting that right now. But how do you know reality is reality? That's basically what they're saying, and maybe his reality is better than ours. I'm putting words in their mouth right now. I didn't write the song. Go ahead, Kenny.
I did not know that's what that song was about. So I guess it gives it a more of an impact now that I understand it. You know, I mean, sounds to me, Wish You Were Here, a guy singing to an ex who,
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, of course.
Okay. I get
You're
it.
right.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, if you guys want to throw in a final song or two, that's fine. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. We got a couple of minutes. So whatever you want to do.
I'll
I
throw
want to do
in a
my.
final-
I'll do my. Go ahead, Steve.
I never really liked the band. It's Pearl Jam, but Even Flow. After that song was out, probably 10, 15 years, and I finally listened to it, and I'm like, damn, the guitar work on that song is really good, and I won't turn the station if that's on, but
Okay.
I'm not a fan of any of their other songs, but
Okay.
I
right.
have to give them props for that.
Okay. That's a pretty decent song too, I have to say.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul.
I want to talk about the band Rainbow. I just listened to Difficult to Cure today, and it's got this, not a hit because no one knows who Rainbow is outside of our core audience.
Okay.
But it can't happen here. It's a great song. It was on TV rotation for a while, and the singer on that album was Joe Lynn Turner,
Yeah.
New Jersey. Highly
That-
recommend
That guy
album.
sang for
Highly
more
recommend it.
bands. His voice has been all over
Oh, yeah.
rock. Yeah. He was
Yeah.
really talented.
He's a great singer.
Yeah.
But when you
I
hear
think he-
talk, he's got the heaviest New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
He
didn't
may
know.
have sang in my
You guys
band
sing, but
for a minute.
So Rainbow, Difficult to Cure. Or if you want to go back, Rainbow with Ronnie James Dio. Great stuff.
Okay. All right, good. Well, listen, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, but we barely scratched the surface of the list that I have. So we can continue this one next time if you guys
Yeah.
want to.
Yes,
And we-
That's
absolutely.
fine.
Okay, good. And we're also going to get back onto David Bowie. You know,